inside a magnetic field head on a bite bar. As your eyes move, it generates a small coil of wire, then recorded and magnified to measure the eye movements in this magnetic field. I was looking at what I'd made, testing those eye movements and the abilities. And interestingly, we found differences according to diagrams, the little small elements were blobs or lines. And that David Marr idea of representation actually hardwired into the. It's interesting.
Interesting. And you don't know this, but before we're talking about colour and how the colour in the way that it's your brain will do colour, and it might.
Yeah, and there's or people who's more colours, so like pigeons, colours than humans, and there are humans who have that ability. Incredible.
This is getting. I've heard of stereopsis which is that weird effect. Colours on the screen look 3D. Logo looks 3-dimensional to me. Weird things with those colours, and so apparently, love your details. So vision and trying to work set, which is the activities and everything, and you were kind of teach machines going forward later about how they might then do machine.
So at the time, machine learning was around. It hadn't that came with. So although machine learning techniques were available, I was more presentations and how the human visuals. It really does lead to where we have these and in the embedding spaces, so we can control that. So it's an ability we have control over using language types of neural networks, representations. You putting more models doing an efficient way, because things are very compact representations you to patients efficiently. Together modalities, being able to was something that I was interested in. I was studying my DPhil, being able to link together qualities of touch and senses that we have. So how are those linked? To do that is using this embedding now enables and image to join together and the language of the embedding space.
You've got a bunch of inputs coming. You've got a bunch of inputs in space, and the brain has tons of context to link those together and kind of a much more is that roughly what you?
Yes.
You're filling in the gaps.
And then apply it to being able to attend former architecture. It really has advice.
Back to IP.
Carry on, Gwilym. You're in the driving.
to where we're AI in our space, and you mentioned Ryan Abbott recently, where of course he's been one particular area with the slightly boring league can be an inventor, but my rather more interesting idea of be an inventive. I wonder what your thoughts were on the AI and what
Well, I love the podcast that you did. So fantastic. And we've had all the Dabbers Case Society in the nation, and we've had the conversation be an inventor. It's leading on now to the inventions, creates an invention using an AI tool podcast that Ryan's bringing to the debate. So really keen to hear about that. The opinion is that patents, no matter, that's really important. Patents is one way to achieve. Another way would be regulation. Be handed, having more knowledge sharing would be
a nice compromise on the human innovative create, but just kind of hide away the keep everything a secret as well. And it's a good, I think actually, which was which are back into the kind of policy that can invent, because we hear different.
Yes, we found that when made, was it Move 36 invention, in my opinion.
Excluded because it's a method. Yeah. I'm sure it's excluded, but regulatory of a problem. Yeah.
Still an invention, even if it's excluded.
Fair point. Yeah. And AI was the actual deviser. The other big case, obviously, that was knocking around is the emotional perception had leave to go to as I saw. So, we love an expert opinion. Quickly summarize that.
As far as I know, it's a recommendal at the difficult to get granted them. And so the instance had refused, and then at the High Court made conclusion and decided that our network, this made it, and that a patent should potentially, as long as the inventive step were met. This is now going to go to the court. It went to the Court of Appeal, and was back to situation as the IPO. Slight difference. Say even a hardware neural net would not be, which is going to the original situation. Now this is going to court, which is wonderful legal certainty, and it is Supreme Court to it's only about of the artificial recommender system, but inventions for the way invent in the UK and from the problem solution.
That'd be interesting if it went that far. The last one I'm aware of was the I think it was certainly on AI. It was glamorous and outcomes. I think people.
Yeah. That's exciting, isn't it? 6, it might.
Gosh, see if AI were running it. I was going to ask Rachel, where see AI kind of impacting on your not AI as a tool related work? Are you seeing a lot coming in? Where are
So there's a lot of machine learning and AI. Agentic AI is this is where you have AI models that are able and that's better parts. So that's a very, and I was at a given by an AI professional zoo, and he have items we could see as being the ability to mention, as well as something I hadn't really thought. Having AI agents is going to be something that's nice, because we'll have things for us, like we might have one and it would be able to find out, it would be able to act. But you might have another AI, your fitness coach, one for helping you at work, or one to help you with management. But ideas, it's difficult to. I call it, Rachel, what could we do and make a benchmark for how the AI programs regulation? And it's like, well, it's a while, and really it's what do for you. So, for example, if addiction, could it be a citizen? There's a sort of a scale of things, and perhaps that would be the way to do the benchmarking across jurisdictions. But it's definitely an interesting thing to think of consciousness as being a trait of an agentic AI system. It made me think, actually, do you think, Willem, we could have a patent for a method of giving a machine consciousness?
in terms of, would that be something that the Patent Office would accept, given if you substantiated how to do it? I think so. Don't see why not. You start wondering about what you think. If you did get that one, you probably if you got there first, hated it, because it's not fun. It's a fun topic.
What are you're
the
granted in
morality
respect to exploitation of which would see?
I think there's
that has got artificial, very difficult question.
how quickly you shift into philosophy. Turing test is now.
Do you think so?
Wasn't it very different? I can't tell if some, because I won't say where recently, could tell between the one human generated and the help, shall we say, was just, so I think, because it was really, you could tell it was probably AI. It was just so good, so accurate from field that I thought, yeah, so it's as if the try to spot now is better than.
And this is more the discusses. Isn't one of the answers will know that it and will stop itself on human intelligence, and they just carry on.
Yeah, that.
Somewhere I was needing to get into.
But there's a distinction between us there, big time, isn't there? And conscious on top, isn't it? I think
to more mundane.
Oh, go on now.
So you, Rachel, but I'm minded of it because it was almost 10 years ago. So 2015, we had a public debate. CIPA had a public debate on AI. And patent attorneys, we had a bunch of, we had about 500 people theatre there. And we asked the question, should I say, inevitable that within 25 years on a patent will be human intervention. And Missy Lightfoot, who's well known for Why, The Naked Lawyer, the author, what I've read, written, I didn't write his book, Laura's Brain, patent examiner and a patent attorney spoke against them. We never ever reached a decision. Our question, well, that's been put to the floor doesn't say or not. And we were actually talking about good patents or bad. We did at one point during AI's role in inventive processes that are involved in. And I know that you've done work to say something about where you.
Lovely if we could have some AI tools that would help with examining things like inventive step, although it should be a final decision. Yes, I proposed for inventive step on the pre-sur, the go through the language model and be embedding, and the embedding space in a certain radius is embedding space is one that's been prior art. If that volume is far enough, somehow say that this application is groundbreaking. Therefore, there's a tip step. So it's not the problem because it doesn't involve, but it's an indicator and automatically help examine their assessment of inventive step. I think that would be quite useful. Although lots of people, it's no good because it's vectors in the space, but I'm not sure that would work. So I think it comes back down to and seeing if the volume's empty, assuming that space of inventions somehow continue, that we could take a cap showing the area excluded matter holes in where they were. So we could take account perhaps of the test, then also applied or checked that there was a technical so that we'd avoided. Yeah, but in the end, that makes the decision because influences law is reflexive, so it creates law, society, and in patents for words like find, and that's on technical because technology. So therefore, it has to be. And if case law is set, there's an immediate problem.
Actually, because again, there's been lots of conversation. If AI can invent, AI becomes a skilled person. Which changes that bit of the test. I guess part of the story. Another point for me, eligibility. We there on making sure that AI understood that you know why. I guess a risk would be was the kind of base kind of say we wouldn't be able to had been done, as it were, whether there's an inventive step or not, because in a bunch of nodes that aren't human comprehensive, that you think could be a concern.
I think what you're saying is that the model that generates that represents the patent application, we can't explore way how it.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, yes, that is definitely. I guess best. We've got huge body of training examples, the whole of the granted passively or not.
Lee, have I told you about the short story competition I won?
If you did, I can't remember. Gwen, I'm sorry. And I feel awful.
It is relevant because which is always a good way of, and it was for the I think it's in
You've never told me this. You've never.
They wanted an IP short story or science fiction, but I'm a bit, and one of my favorite books, which of course was the cyberpunk defining 80s, AI inventing stuff being examined by AI. But so they had this massive kind of the video game sort of thing, novelty and inventive. And for some reason, because unless you read Neuromancer and you're me, I don't do. But I did have this idea that AI is inventing stuff, AI is examining done in real time, and we just do that with no idea what to do with. Then comes back to the question of conscience. It does get to this point where if we can AI continue to invent things.
You create a neural network that provides a reward function. So you would have you create a machine learning model that was trained. You could have one bespoke for Gwilym that knew about your preferences and the other model, and it would get mark out of 10 and send that result as a reinforcement learning.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
The training model, not a problem.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's going to be 100,000 and to me, and it's going more in size. It's just models that the machine learning models trained using this type of because the generalization ability, what really makes it, and then you can that the model's never seen its knowledge from what it can give a good answer. When you make the model having more GPUs and you would think that it will just learn the training examples exactly, which is called overfitting.
Yes.
And very happened yet, even though also increasing and so and emergent behavior ability to do things to that it was not trained, and so Colossus.
Rachel, one of my jobs on the podcast.
It's half an hour.
Towards an end, and a nation, and I know that's another act sort of like potted over, likely to go in the future.
Regulation is important for us because it detect infringement. Can you protect them? Think of more everything in the regulation, it's all technologies, and these increasingly. We have the began in August, and already different countries are in their own laws. Italy is one example where felt in Italy regulation, so the countries of going to prison lying with AI regulation in Italy. It does seem like AI in the UK soon. Press releases saying that the will be body as a that is not doing regulation. Regulation is going to be all of us working in, which is pretty much everyone. So it's because regulation. So I'll give you an incentive for this. Regulation is so. Whereas I think patent incentive line of thing, or they can be. We think of patents as only creating, whereas there's many more helping share knowledge about technology.
Lots of questions. I'm there thinking, I didn't ask me that one. Or this. Is there anything else you want to add to the close of the podcast?
My funniest AI. So funny. I was Dave's Garage. This video on YouTube. He's made of his own voice. Telemarketers phone him. and it has prolonging the conversation to a final conclusion or agreement. The telemarketers phone up with the bot, and it goes very funny.
But I've always done that in real life. Marketer ring the office just me. And no, hang on. I'm trying. No, you've asked me if I've had a good day. I'm going to tell you about my day. And he hung up. So it does work. It does work. Rachel, thank you so much for your knowledge and your expertise, but also ending with a light example there. I have a closing question. Do you have a closing?
I do. Actually, just only got 4 ums. So you are Rachel. You also said not going to count that.
Is that the
Checking you, Gwilym. You'd be writing in.
I know.
Draw me up.
Let's just. The continuum is a never concept. No, a really simple one. If you could give an inanimate, Rachel, you're up after Lee.
Stonking question. It's not something I've ever given for.
I'm more Disney, Mickey Mouse early films and things, but
yeah, I don't know. This is pick something at random. A cricket ball.
Ooh.
Finally come to a swing and reverse swing. It doesn't always follow. Sometimes the ball will swing. Sometimes it's about atmospheric conditions. Sometimes it's about whether you've rubbed it frantically. Animate a cricket ball so that histories of swing for reasons only of.
Oh. No, it's a bit cruel, but I'd love to hear the bowling batting cycle.
Always.
Anyway, we'll give you some thinking time there.
Because it can see Earth and it could have some very useful insights.
We can find a hidden drum, which is what I've always told my.
So come on, because you've got an answer. We know how this.
I don't have more time to think about it. It's memories. Rachel, you want to know what the moon can remember?
Oh wow!
Because I reckon with that.
So have you ever read the novel?
Bits and pieces of it, yeah.
Not the same, obviously, as its memory. Exciting, wouldn't it, to know what something that's been time would be able to tell us?
Yeah, that's been really good.
Rachel, thank you. Gwilym, thank you for in one day. That's quite exhausting.
On a range of topics.
Thank you. You don't have a podcast, and you far more listeners if podcasting platform of your choice. Or alternatively, Gwilym and I are going to some kind of AI bot that will do that. That's our task.
Doable.
Thank you.